Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So for this video I wanted to show you guys our new color flow halos for the 22-inch light bars. Now this should fit most 22-inch light bars, but specifically the one that is in the link in the description is the Nightlight, I guess it is, something like that, 22-inch bar. This can be purchased on Amazon pretty cheap. It has pretty decent output. It's a 120 watt 12 volt light bar. So I figure for the output is good, the price is good, and then being able to add in a little bit of color flow to it for, you know, not a whole lot more. But I'm going to show you how to open it up real quick, how to add the strip, and have you up and running pretty quick. So first off, you will need an Allen key. This is a 3mm Allen key, and you're going to go to the end without the plug. So you've got a plug on one end, and this end does not have a plug. And what you're going to do is you're just going to remove these 5 screws. So you can see just like that, I've removed the 5 screws and the end plate just comes right off. In the top here, you have a channel that you can slide the strip through. I would just cut off just a little bit of the reflective plastic here. It's not too hard with a little like wire snips or something like that. Just snap it right off, and that'll give room for the wiring. Now we do have 2 different variations depending on what you're going to be running. This is the one that will come with our controller. You will have a single input like this, just a basic waterproof input, and that will go with the controller. That is our standard little SP110E based controller with the plenty of wire to run most applications. And plugs. There are actually 2 plugs on this controller, so if you wanted to add something else, you could, dual bars, something like that. And then a power and ground with a built-in fuse right there. So that is the layout for the controller if you choose that option. If you choose just the Halo itself with no controller, they will come with JST connections. And there is an input and an output, as well as the 2 wires that are loose here, which are for power injection if you want it. Obviously, you can just cut the power injection wires off if you need. You can cut off the output wire if you're not going to be using that. Just make sure that you do cover the back side of this with some electrical tape so that none of the contacts in this corner can touch any of the chrome inside and short anything out. That's just on this set. If you purchase the set with the controller, we will have already placed some electrical tape, just like that, to protect those contacts from making contact with the chrome. Even though this is a plastic chrome, it is still conductive, so it's important that you do protect the backside of this Halo from that. So next up, it's just going to slide right inside here, just like so. And as for the end cap, now on these there is normally just a solid piece right here, part of the mold, I guess, for the casting of this piece. I already drilled that out, so you're going to want to drill that out. Probably something like a 3/16 inch drill bit, something like that. It should be just big enough for the head to fit through. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and slide that through. There is the back rubber cap here, so I'll slide it through there first, and then up and through. Might have to pull that off. Through the rubber, up and through that hole that we drilled, and then we will secure that in place. So when it comes to the side, you'll kind of see why we snipped off a little bit of that chrome reflector. You can't see where we snipped it off because the halo will actually cover it, but it will allow the halo to sit flush against the chrome piece. So then we're just going to fish this through and right on the side, just like that. And I will screw that cap back on. So just like that, I have secured the cap back on the side here. And you can see where we have the hole here. You are not going to want to leave that open. What I would use is some gasket maker. Black gasket maker would be ideal. And just fill in that hole so that the wire can still come out, but you have basically created a gasket around that so that no water can get inside. You do want to make sure that the cap is secure fairly tight. You know, you're not trying to get 40 foot-pounds of torque on here, but you do want to secure it enough that the rubber gasket on the side there has created a proper seal so that it doesn't leak on you. But as you can see, once it's inside, it sits pretty well, and it does stay out of the line of the actual LEDs for the light bar itself, so still fully functional in that sense. You do have the main power for the light bar itself, which is here. Obviously the instructions for install as well as the side brackets are included from Nightlight. And then our plug for the halo is right here. As far as the controller goes, it does just plug right in. There is an arrow on each plug, and you're going to want to line those up. And then just kind of visually check that to make sure that the pins on the inside are right, and it should just snap right in. If it's not snapping right in, just look at the pins and try to make sure that it's lined up just right, and it should go right in. Next up is obviously your power and ground, so I will go ahead and get that hooked up now. And as you can see, so now we have it on. This is a SK6812 RGBW LED. They are 50-50 size, so 5mm by 5mm. So our typical ones that you would see on our halos, as well as some of our other like flexible strips and things like that. It is 5 volt, so in the event that you do the DIY kit, if you were using it with a Blue Ghost or something like that, you are going to want to ensure that this does get 5 volts to it. Each LED is individually addressable. They are not in groups of 3, and that does help for sizing wise. We were able to get the PCB down to our 6mm width, which was ideal for this situation, for this layout. But just like our rigid RGBW SK6812s, you're going to get that same reliability that we offer. That extra heat dissipation that you get from the rigid strip itself goes a long way. It does make it look pretty good and last quite a while. Better heat absorption means the LEDs can actually stay brighter longer versus what you would have on a thinner or a lower quality PCB. This will be on the site. Definitely worth checking out if you do any off-road car work or anything like that. And once again, we will have 2 options. One is with the controller, which is this one here. It's basically an SP110E for those of you that are familiar with that, with the addition of a 5-volt inverter. A larger one. We do have this style controller on the website as well, but that built-in inverter for that is too small. It's just a 3 amp. You are going to need to have closer to 10 amps for this bar, just to be safe. I think it runs about 5 amps total, but just to be safe, we did run a 10 amp on this. So if you are doing a DIY setup yourself, do keep that in mind. It is quite a few LEDs on here, and you are going to want to make sure that you have proper size inverter, a 5-volt inverter to run the setup. But if you're looking for a quick, easy install, as you can see, did not take much time at all. This bar is ready to go on the car. Waterproof plugs, everything's ready to go. If you were running this on a off-road quad or something like that, no issues. You should be perfectly fine. These are waterproof controllers. Not saying that you should intentionally submerge them in water for long periods of time, but if water gets on them, it's not going to be an issue. So as for the actual app for the controller itself, it is using the LED Hue app, which is available on Apple as well as the Android Marketplace. When you open up the app, you will see this screen. You're going to want to look for the SP110E controller. Once you connect to that, you're going to want to ensure that you have GRB and the SK6812 RGBW option down here for your LED typeset. You hit enter, it'll take you right inside here where you can set your colors, change any solid colors that you want, as well as over a total of 120 different preset show modes that are inside here. So it gives you quite a bit of flexibility as far as what you want to do in that sense. There is a slider on the bottom as well, which is for your white. So if you do find that, in most cases you probably won't be using the white unless you're using this with some kind of a car interface like the Blue Ghost or something like that. This would also be compatible with our car controller. I might actually make that an option on the site just in case. Keeping in mind, though, this is one single input, so in the event that you're using our controller, it's not like you can split it down the middle and make this side a turn signal and that side a turn signal. It would all be a turn signal. But if you were doing something like that, then you would be using the white for your DRLs. But in this case, if you wanted to turn on the white, you can do it that way. You would just turn up that dial and turn down that one. So there you go. All the whites are on full. You can turn on all the LEDs, but you're just going to be washing out all the RGB if your white slider is all the way full and your RGBs are. So if you do find that the RGB is not working right, that'd be the first thing to check, is that slider at the bottom. Just make sure that's set to 0, because that is a separate white slider on the app. So just something to consider if you're troubleshooting, if you're having issues and the RGB is not really showing up. Make sure that slider is not turned up. Turn it all the way down. Thanks for watching the video. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of our other content in the future. And check out our website, nextlevelneo.com.